We are live.
Good morning and welcome to Toastmasters Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am your host today, Phyllis Tribby. I am a past district governor and a distinguished Toastmaster. My technical support sitting over here is Jean Dumford.
Yay.
And our guest today is distinguished Toastmaster, past district governor, Katy Porter. Welcome, Katy.
Yay. Thank you so much, Phyllis. Wonderful to be here. I must say, this is not my particular time of day, but for you, Phyllis, I will get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and
Well, I'm
join
going to
you.
send out a few more invitations today. And I hope that my people that sleep in and are retired
Yes,
will also say, I'll do it for you
for
because
you, Phyllis.
we love to have guests here. Katy, I know you've been around longer than my 25 years. How long have you been in Toastmasters? And kind of tell us some of your story.
Sure. I'm over 30 years now, which is kind of crazy. Someone asked me, it feels like yesterday, but maybe 10 years ago, Katy, why did you pick Toastmasters to invest yourself in? There are all these other things you could be doing. And believe it or not, after that was around 20 years, after all that time, I really hadn't addressed that. I had just enjoyed it so much, and each year re upped. So I thought about it, and Toastmasters fulfills a lot of things for what I look for in something to put my time into. It's it has high integrity, which for me is important. It's something with clear rules about etiquette, and we don't cuss. We don't. You can have some clubs have a $5 jar if you say a bad word, things like that. It also gets me out with people, which is, I'm an extrovert, so I enjoy that very much. Or I'm an extrovert now. I can't say when I was younger, but I'm an extrovert now, so I really like that. So I like the structure, the integrity, the being with people and having fun with people. And finally, there's the mentor aspect. At first, you're mentored, and then as you learn Toastmasters and become rather good at it, then you mentor others. And that's always wonderful to have that connection with an individual person and not just with the group.
I think mentoring is a big part of it. And we know about Distinguished Toastmaster and DTM, but I always like to tell people that all DTMs are dedicated to mentoring.
Yeah,
That's what
that's a good
says,
one.
that's what DTM really means, that you want to help someone
Yeah,
else.
nice, very nice.
So, how long did it take you before you joined Toastmasters? Did you visit or were you invited several times?
I was a fairly reluctant person with Toastmasters in the beginning. I joined a what we call corporate club. Now, corporate club is one that has all the members from within one company. My company of choice was Geico. Geico was a very good job for me. I enjoyed it a lot. I grew a lot at Geico and interacted with a large number of different actuaries, which was my chosen field. And one of the actuaries said, "Hey, we do something at noon. You might like it. Come on down." And I went, "Uh huh." And then she asked again, "Would you like to come?" I said, "Uh huh," but I didn't go. And then a young man asked me, he said, "Oh, I'm in this Toastmasters group. You should really come at noon." You know, Jackie mentioned that too. So I think I went the second time he asked me. So I was asked 4 times, which is one of those lessons, Phyllis, that we forget that people don't take us up on the very first time we offer something a lot of times. So you want to kindly, politely ask again. And so for me, it was 4 times. And once I attended a meeting, I was hooked. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I like to tell people my own story. Someone invited me to breakfast for over 7 months. They offered to
Oh
take
my
me out.
gosh.
Yeah, every 2 or 3 weeks, she would call and say, Toastmasters tomorrow, can I take you
Wow.
out to breakfast?
Wow.
And I did eventually go to a meeting and I could see where it was going to be helpful.
Yes.
I truly enjoyed it. We talked a bit before going live about your starting of clubs. And I believe that you are the person that has been more of a sponsor for more clubs than anyone else I really know. Working with clubs, helping them get live, a lot of people do, but I think you have started, actually went out and facilitated new clubs. Can you talk about new clubs for me?
Thank you. I'd love to. Thank you, Phyllis. When you have an organization like Toastmasters, the action is at the club level. There's Toastmasters International, the umbrella organization, but the umbrella is over all these lovely little clubs. And we have some levels in between, but each level is really to support the clubs. So in order to have Toastmasters in your community, you need a local club. Well, how does that happen? Where's the club come from? Toastmasters International does not create clubs. That's just not what they do. They support the clubs that are there. So you say, where do clubs come from? When I was working my way up towards district governor, I came up with a term. And of course, when it's your term, you love the term. So my term is twinkle. You have a twinkle in your eye, just a little idea about a club. And that's where you start. I could see a club at this company. I could see a club in this community. I could see a club with this specialty. When I was I call them 1, 2, 3. When I was the number 3 working on membership and also on starting new clubs, I invited all of the area directors, all of the division directors to come up with twinkles in our training. We had a day-long training at that time. And we had a big fishbowl and passed out little slips of paper and asked everybody to come up with twinkles. Well, a twinkle doesn't take a lot of work or research. You don't have to know anybody to have a twinkle, right? You just need to know a little bit about your own community. So each of the directors gave it some thought, and we ended up with around 100 twinkles to start our year. Well, what did that mean? That meant when you go home and you're maybe not feeling quite as creative, you have this list of, you could have one at the Taco Bell management area that happens to be in your division. You could have a club that is at the auto dealer place where all the auto dealers could come. You could have a club. There was one woman who had this wonderful idea about a dance studio. You could have a Toastmasters club that dealt with dancing. I love the process of having twinkles, right? So for my year, I was a distinguished district governor, which means you've started some clubs. That's a requirement to be distinguished. And I do feel that starting up with all our lovely twinkles was one of the reasons that we were able to have that year of numerous new clubs.
Can you tell us some more about your twinkles? Well, there's some unusual ones. You've mentioned 3 or 4, but yeah, where do we start? You start with twinkles, then what happens?
Okay, perfect. We invite the area directors to find a twinkle that lights them up. And if one of the 100 twinkles doesn't light them up, then go ahead and think of another one, right? Think of something that would be close to you that would work. Kathy Schote used to say she'd put on her heels and her jacket. Kathy Schote always looked the best, right? She had these beautiful suits that I remember, a red suit and a blue suit. So Kathy would put on her heels, and she really put the rubber where the road is. She was the district governor before me. And she went to local businesses and she knocked on the doors. Hello, I'm Kathy Schote, the most beautiful woman in the world. And I'd be happy to help you start a wonderful organization, a fun club in your company where your members of your company could join this club, become better communicators, better salespeople, better managers, etc. There's so many wonderful things that Toastmasters does for people. The list is pretty long. And she would basically sit down with them and give them a feel for it. She had some materials for them. And gosh darn, Kathy became a select distinguished district governor, which means that she had even more clubs than I did starting during her year. And part of it was her persistence and her being right out there at the front and beginning to talk with people about it. So the second step is to begin to put it in reality and pick out individual places that you feel could benefit from a Toastmasters club.
Sounds good. I've tried those cold calls, and I'm telling you, you have to have the personality. Can you gain that personality? I believe you can.
Yes.
I think in Toastmasters, techniques are learnable. I went out on cold calls with Sherry Parker.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And, she helped me be able to give the right impression and be just a hair bit pushy, but still how to work the process and do technical information to people that were willing to listen.
Yes.
And I think in corporations, when they feel that they are going to benefit, the corporation itself will benefit from people that will speak up. There's always someone in the back of the room that will not say anything, that maybe has the greatest ideas available.
Yes.
And through Toastmasters, they're going to get those ideas that will help their corporation. So now we've got a corp that we think will have a great Toastmaster group. Now what do we do, Katie?
All right. Now, once the high level folks in the corporation go, I could see that, then they're going to have a list of objections, right? Just like any sale that you're making. And you need to be ready to overcome those objections. Well, we would have to have time away from work. Oh, not necessarily. You could have your club before work. You could have a club at lunch. You could have a club right after work. Oh, I see. And sir, I bet in your nice company here, you have a wonderful meeting room that could be used easily. You might even have AV equipment. You might have a computer or a television on the wall. Well, yes, we do have this wonderful communication room. Okay, now we have a place to meet, and when we solicit folks from your company, we'll see if they want to meet before, at lunch, or after work. And in fact, if you feel there's enough value, you may even feel, let's meet 2 to 3 in the afternoon, which is a lull time for us. We don't have a lot of customers coming in at that time. We may go ahead and set it up and pay them for their time. Yes, that would be lovely. That would be wonderful. That happens sometimes. They'll set it up to be a nice break where people come back reinvigorated from their Toastmaster club to finish the day. Well, is it very expensive? That's important to our company. Sir, it can be as much or as little as you want. If you feel this will benefit your employees, we recommend, and this is something that I would recommend in a corporate club, we recommend that you pay part of the fee and have the member pay part of the fee. For example, when someone joins Toastmasters, they pay up to $45 because we prorate it based on what month is started. They pay up to $45 for 6 months. 6 months. Wow, I thought it would be per month. No, for 6 months. Plus, there's a $20 fee to get them started. Perhaps your company would pick up the $20 fee and let the member pay the $45. I could see that. Yes, I could see doing that. Okay, I think we're getting our way with the finances. You will have such an amazing benefit in folks who are invigorated, folks who are more in touch with their customers, who are more effective salespeople. I think that money is very well spent. Well, what if we don't want to have it every week? Clubs can be weekly. They can be every other week. They can be twice a month. They can even be once a month. However, I'd recommend for a club with a lot of new members, that you do allow people to meet every week, and the reason is this. This is a skill, the skill of learning to speak impromptu, the skill of building a speech that they're proud of, that they're able to deliver effectively, and the skill of learning to give feedback. Many of the members of Toastmasters who are supervisors say the piece that's best for them is learning how to coach their employees such that the employees feel really good about getting the feedback instead of anxious, like, the boss would like to see you now. Oh no, not that! I don't want to be seen by the boss. With Toastmasters, you learn to do it a little differently and say, oh, the boss has some thoughts that might be useful for you. Okay, I'll go see the boss. It's a completely different feeling you get from Toastmasters. So as you begin to get this building of the management's acceptance, then the next step, Phyllis, is to go ahead and invite people to join this club, this mystery club that they might have never heard of before.
Our startup meeting, yes. We used to have another name for it, I forget, and we kind of got away from that and call it a startup meeting because it's the start of their Toastmaster meetings.
Yes, very good.
Not a demo. I think that was an old demo.
Yeah.
And now we call it a startup meeting because people got the feeling that they went to a demo meeting and that was the end of it. Whereas using the word startup, they can get the idea in their head that it's going to continue on.
Yes.
There are so many ways that corporations can help their members. I had one club that they got off work at 4:30. So the club actually met from 4 to 5. So the company gave them a half an hour to go to Toastmasters, and then the member themselves had to give up a half an hour. So it was kind of equal. If you went and did this, it was beneficial to you, but it was beneficial to the corporation. And there are so many ways that the corp can help. Sometimes there's a point system for various levels in Toastmasters that adds to an overall point system for other things that are happening in the corporation.
Yes.
And that's a force. But the corporation has to be behind the corporate clubs. So what do you think about local and community clubs? How we go about that? Is there a twinkle for those?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I'll tell you about Moore Park Toastmasters, which is still doing very well up in the town of Moore Park in California. There had been a desire for a club in Moore Park for a while, okay? We had a few people who wanted a club, whatever that means, right? And I was coming up again. It was part of my training. I might have even been the division director at that point, division governor. And sorry about going back and forth with the terms. When I was coming up, it was governor. Now it's director. So I was a governor, but now, So sorry for slipping back and forth. We know why.
I understand it. I do it all the time.
So I thought at that point I had started a few clubs, Phyllis, and I was feeling my oats. I was feeling the strength of I know what to do, right? So I called a meeting of all the people who had any interest in having this club in Moore Park. Current Toastmasters. But it was people in Moore Park, people around Moore Park, which for us was Simi Valley, myself. We ended up with 6 or 8 people at the first meeting. Someone took on the challenge of making this process a project that they would get credit for with Toastmasters. So that person took the notes. We call it a high performance leadership project. So that person took the notes and helped us stay organized and set the meetings and such. And at each meeting, we made a project plan like you do with any other plan. We invited people to come at that point, as you said, a demo meeting. We even had a cute script. We had a script that we used for the demo meeting. We were getting ready. We said, well, how are we going to invite people to this meeting? We invited Toastmasters because honestly, having people in the audience is very helpful, and also having people who can speak about Toastmasters easily. So we had a number of those folks, and we put an ad, simple as this, an ad in the local paper, which is called the Acorn. So cute. There's Thousand Oaks, and then there's the Acorn. Get it? So that's our paper. So we put an ad in the Acorn, and we had maybe 8 members of the community come to the first meeting, and we shared with them what a meeting looked like. We had someone do a speech, we had an evaluation, we had table topics, and they were all like, oh, this is great. So we got them on a list, the folks who were interested, and then we did it again in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks. It took maybe 8 meetings for us to have the 20 people required to start a new club. But since we started, and since then, that has been a very happy club over there, over 10 years, I believe. So that was a do it by a little bit at a time, which is, I think, not always the recommended way, but it worked for Moore Park. It worked for my home club, Thousand Oaks Toastmasters, where you get a few people in, you have some experienced Toastmasters, and those folks start to drop out as you build your new person base until you have basically the mentors and the sponsors left, the 4 people who take the club across the line.
It's definitely persistence.
Yes.
You cannot go in there thinking that it's going to be a miracle and happen immediately. I know Jean is looking at our Facebook Live. Have we any questions or any comments from our public out there?
Well, actually, Gene Williams and Jennifer Smith both said hello this morning and welcome to Katy. And no, it's pretty quiet out there. I think everybody's sleeping in on Facebook right now. But, our show broadcast over and over again on the district club growth director page. So you can catch any episode from the beginning, from our very first one, which you probably won't want to go back that far, because we were a little rusty back then. Not to say that we're not now, but from their first broadcast to the end is all stored online. So you can see fantastic. Any episode.
What a good idea. What a good idea.
It just happened. Yeah. How long Facebook carries them too. When you go to the Facebook page, the club growth director page, which has the information there underneath Ken. I forgot to tell people that Ken was on vacation. He will be back on Tuesday, but he'll be calling in from wherever he's traveling for. So we miss him, and we're thankful that Gene came on to help us out today.
I heard a rumor he was looking for new interns to replace us old ones.
Good for him.
Well, I'm just looking for guests. If you're out there, comment, send him a Gmail and tell us that you would like to come on, because it's a fun thing. Right, Katy? You're loving it.
Absolutely.
You're loving it.
Yeah, Phyllis, I'll follow up with the slow boat method, and let's talk about those times when you have enough internal support. This is very good at a company, I think, where the management says, we're going to be supportive, just as you said with the one club that had the 50-50 split with their time, and I've talked about the 50-50 split with the money as well, not quite 50-50, but a sharing of the money with the corporation. You can have enough folks come to that first meeting, the startup meeting, that you can have over 20 sign up, and you can have a club that the next meeting is already getting ready to get chartered. Getting chartered is the term for sending in the list of the 20 folks to Toastmasters International, getting them signed up as official Toastmasters, and starting that club, getting your start date. We had a wonderful meeting at a corporation where there was enough interest that we pretty much filled the room with members of that company. We met in in a dining hall, because that's how big the company was, that they had their own dining hall. And we had individual Toastmasters ready to go, but we also had started to make connections within the company with several people that we had our eye on for being the president, for being the vice president of education, being sergeant arms, etc. We had our meeting, our demo meeting, and during the table topic portion, which is the impromptu speaking portion, we called on first one Toastmaster so that folks could see what the heck you're supposed to do, a model, right? And then we called on members of the company to do the table topics. We had a fairly long table topic section, and people were able to say, oh, I can see myself doing this. I can see myself in that role. We had a member be the grammarian and listen for the word of the day. That is a fun thing that we do in Toastmasters. So people were definitely able to see themselves doing these activities each week. At the end of the meeting, we had them sign up. We made it as simple as possible. We passed out the applications, and we said, all right, we're taking the next 10. Yeah, I was raising my voice when I talked to people, right? All right, we're going to take the next 10 minutes, and everybody's going to fill out this application, whether or not you want to join today. Ooh, so every single person, we made sure there were pens, right? Every single person sat down and filled out their name and address. I mean, it's the simplest application, right? We had pre-filled the money at the bottom. They got those done in less than 10 minutes. And we said then, if you would like to be a charter member, and we let them know how special that was, you probably will be joining Toastmasters. And if you'd like to be a charter member of your wonderful club here at your company, simply pass in your filled in application. Simple, simple. So, thank you. And we had our 20 members. The next meeting, we elected officers, and we were off and running, filled out that paperwork.
I don't know that I've had any that worked quite that well. Yes, but I have had some, like you say. Yeah. It only takes a meeting or two. And in the corporate line, it seems like if the corporation thinks it's a good thing, you've got what I call the pusher from the corporation. Then the people that work in the corporation feel that it is a good idea.
Yes.
I see that we are getting close to our time. I told you it would go really fast, Katie. This 30 minutes just flies by. Nice. Any last comments for us?
Yes, I think from Twinkle to Chartered Club, we've just gone through the process together, haven't we? We've gone through each of the steps that's needed. The final step, I will give 1 minute about paperwork. There are people who are good at the paperwork. I happen to be one of those people who enjoy paperwork. It was part of my job to do paperwork. I'm always available to help someone with the paperwork, but I have seen people also struggle with it. So my word about doing the charter paperwork is, if it looks daunting to you, don't waste your time getting all daunted. No, call in a friend who likes to do paperwork, even if it's buying them a lunch and sitting down and just going through the paperwork together, because if it's done correctly, it's smooth as silk. You can have all the little boxes filled in, and Toastmasters International goes check, and your club is chartered fairly quickly. So I would suggest getting help with your paperwork. You would start with Ken, and Ken, I'm sure, will have a group of folks who are willing to help with startup paperwork. For we Toastmasters, it's so fun because we know the twinkle has happened, the meeting has happened, the people are interested, everything has already happened, and all you need to do is dot some I's and cross some T's, and there's a new club. So that's very exciting for a Toastmaster.
Well, we're going to ask people for twinkles and see if we can bring them around to full-size stars of Toastmasters.
Very nice.
Thank you, Katie, for joining us today. My last word is that this Saturday is game night. So please check your newsletter or email Ken come to our game night. It's at 6 o'clock on Saturday. And Wake Up with Toastmasters is on weekly. And Jean Dunford and Jean Williams are here on Monday and Friday. And Jennifer Smith is here on Wednesday. And Ken and I are here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We all love to have guests. So please come and tell your story. Talk about your Toastmaster Club, your special events. We're here for you. Any final words, Jean?
I was just going to tell everybody that they can look forward to our new person. I can't remember his name. The club growth director coming in. Do you remember, Phyllis?
Scott Transu.
Scott Transu. And I've got a short memory for everything. Scott Transu is going to be joining us one day a week on Wake Up with Toastmasters.
Oh, wonderful.
As a host. So look forward to that. And Katie, it's wonderful. If you can hang out a little bit, I'd love to talk with you after the show.
All right, sure.
Sounds good.
That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great day.
Well.